Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of the Women of Power show with myself, Lovelda Vincenzi. As always, this show is an exploration of feminine power, the tools, techniques, and strategies that make us all powerful. But this episode is a little bit different because we're catering predominantly to entrepreneurs. And if there's one thing entrepreneurs absolutely need, it's both sales and marketing. And frankly, we don't always get it right. So today I've decided to bring two of my favorite people together on this particular episode to discuss the topics of sales and marketing. And just to really mix it up, my first guest happens to be my incredible husband, Simone Vincenzi, who is an award-winning entrepreneur who helped over 500 businesses start before the age of 30. Joining him here on the show is one of my best friends in life, Dallas Gordon, marketing specialist, a product owner, a TEDx speaker, and an author. Welcome both of you to the show. Who'd have thought I could have both of you here at the same time?
It's great to be here.
So here's the thing, when it comes to marketing and sales, I think a great starting point is to just dive a little more into what it is that you both do and how you do it kind of differently from each other. So I'm going to kick off with, see, this is not fair. Whoever I start with, I'm going to get in trouble with somebody else. So seeing as my husband is here in the studio with me, we're going to start off with you, Simone, in terms of your journey in sales and marketing and what your relationship was to that. And then Dallas, I'm really excited to hear your journey into marketing and selling and what your relationship was across that as well. So Simone, you first.
Well, as any good Italian, coming to the UK, started working in restaurants. Right?
Of course.
And what I loved about being a waiter was actually the relationship that I was able to build with people, and the fact that we were taught how to sell more expensive wines, for example, or how to explain a dish in one way compared to another way. And so I really fell in love almost straight away with the idea of selling. Now, what I realized though, that it was easier to sell someone else's product or service. Because when I started my own business, I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I was almost stuck because I didn't get used to the fact of selling my own product or service, if it makes sense.
It does make sense. And I think it's a common, I worked in sales, y'all. So I was working in sales for a good 8 years before I started my business and stumbling over my words when it came to introducing the topic of sales to my own clients initially. So it took a little bit of getting used to. So I can relate to selling other people's products being easier than selling your own. Dallas, what was your journey? Were you always a marketer by heart, like a salesperson? Was that always your space?
Everybody has kind of like a starting point. For me, I started years ago at work. You know how you're at work and you want to start your business while you're at work. That was my situation, where I was sort of tinkering online and learning how to sell products from work. And from starting in that space, I left my job and I literally just learned everything from scratch. I wasn't doing sales at work. I think I just kind of really wanted to own my own business. And for me, it was the focus on my why that really, really motivated me to start to be this seller. So for me, it wasn't in my background for sales. I never would have thought that my personality would have had anything to do with sales. I just think that I was really, really hungry to have my own business and not work for anyone else. And so I started asking for the sale very aggressively. And that was kind of how I got my feet wet with selling. And I went from there.
That makes total sense, because I think some people think, oh, you've got to be a natural salesperson or you've got to be a natural marketer. But sometimes necessity is just so beautiful at helping us to do exactly what it is we need to do in order to get our stuff, ourselves off the ground and get things moving. You've both kind of spoken about not really being traditionally trained per se. So Simone, you didn't start off, you started off in restaurants selling meals and then taking it from there. So what helped you transition from upselling wine to actually selling, because you sell some pretty high-end products. Mm-hmm. What would you say have been the biggest distinctions that have helped you to kind of do that transition?
A lot of doors slam in my face, not just figuratively, but literally. When I started my coaching business, I realized very fast that I really sucked at selling. And I decided to take the best sales training that I could ever get. Selling charities and charity subscriptions door to door. And that was a challenge for me because I knew I needed to become better at selling and I needed an income at the same time. So I applied for this role and they told me how to talk to people. They told me how to sell because if you have, when you are there in front of a door, you have literally 15 seconds to get someone to keep the door open and wanting to talk to you and not calling you names or slamming the door in your face. And that was the best sales training I've ever had. And it was 8 months of grueling experiences where I had to do like long shifts until 10 p.m. at night, knocking doors in the summer, in the winter, with the hot, with the heat, with the cold, you name it. But at the same time, it builds one of the most important aspects for every person in sales, which is resilience, which is the fact of keep going no matter how many no's you get, knowing that the yes is just the next door. And that was I was able to apply then to my business and how then we started growing.
So that sounds like hell.
It was a hell. It was hell.
I'm just going to be honest, that sounds like hell. So I'm going to do what, some people who are listening and watching will do too, which is, okay, sales sounds even more terrifying perhaps. And I completely agree with you, Simone. I think it's important that actually what we need to do is we have to get it out there. We have to put ourselves, if we don't practice it, then it's going to be really quite difficult. And at the same time, some people are probably thinking, maybe it's just easier for me to market myself. So Dallas, what say you? Because you very much went down predominantly the marketing angle. You market services, products, subscriptions. I mean, how did you get into that? Did you have a strong marketing background before? Do you think this is the way out? Just market your way out of the problem?
Well, okay, Simone was like thrown into cold water, okay, and he got the initial shock of selling over with quickly, okay, so congratulations there. What I will say though is that I was on two different sides of it. So at first I was just selling products online. I wasn't really having to be the face of my company. And the funny part is back then when I first got started with e-commerce, I wasn't showing my face. I was very much behind the scenes. So at some point in that came a fork in the road where I knew I was being pulled to coach people, to help other people, to reach back and help other people. And when that fork came in the road, I really had to get over myself because I was used to behind the scenes marketing. Right? So posting my products, doing all the things, running ads, but never showing my face. And when I kept feeling this nudge for my calling to help others, that's when I never forget, I went to my husband and I said, babe, I can sell products all day, but I don't know how to sell to people. I need to fix this. I need to fix this, like face to face to people. And I agree with Simone, like, when you're selling, it's really getting over the initial shock of being told no. The average person that struggles with marketing themselves or struggles with getting out there, they're struggling because they are afraid to hear the word no. They're also afraid to ask for the sale, which still relates to being told no. Okay. Anytime you ask for something, there's a chance you're going to get that yes or you're going to get that no. So I think it's just getting over yourself. And what's really helped me is to focus on the problem that I'm helping other people to, I'm helping other people to get to their solution. And that weighs in heavier than my fear. Because even still today, sometimes I feel afraid. But when I focus on the solutions that I am offering people, what I'm helping people with, I feel like focusing there motivates me and outweighs that fear of me asking for the sale, because you really are offering people something that's actually going to change their lives. So that kind of changes the perspective on things, I think.
I think that's really important, like having something that's bigger than your fear. So it kind of leads me into another question. Simone, is there anything that scares you? because I ask this because there's a perception as women that selling is easier for men than it is for us ladies, right? So that knocking on doors is fine for you because you are male, but we are not. So do you get scared of doing those sales? Did you get scared of doing those sales?
Oh, when you ask me, is there anything that scares you? I was thinking about you sometimes.
Hey.
But that's another story. That's not for this show. Talking about sales, absolutely yes. Because the fact that I've been taking all these doors in front of my face, and I still take them now in the online world, doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable. Doesn't mean that there is I'm okay every time I sell. Actually, when you are in particular selling, let's say one-to-many, you're selling from a seminar or from a webinar, you have a rejection on steroids. No, you have 500 people, maybe 1,000 people, sometimes 10 people, 20 people, all say no at the same time. So there are a lot of moments where I feel self-conscious, and before a pitch, I'm always nervous. Always nervous, even if I've done it 200 times, because I care. And I think that's also healthy, because the moment you don't feel, I think, any nervousness, or you don't feel even a bit scared, either you're playing a game that is too safe, and that means you're not growing, or it means that you don't really care about it. But if you care, it's normal to feel that nervousness. And so I think that the skill to learn at this point, and this is what I'm reminding myself all the time, is acknowledging that fear, acknowledging that discomfort, and setting the intention that whoever is going to be the right person to buy will buy, and having that belief and faith that your pitch is going to land. And I think that if you put our mind in the right space there, then all the strategy and the techniques, they can come second. But this is the most important piece.
I love that. I mean, not that I know that it makes you nervous too, but I think it's just important because I get the same question when it comes to speaking on stages. Do you ever get nervous? And I think it's easy for us to sit and look at what other people are doing and then assume that, oh, it's easy for them. They've got it fine. And so it'd be easy to draw a line in the sand and say, oh, of course, it's a man. He's great at selling. It's not a problem. So it's useful to hear that you experience the same sort of nerves that we do. Dallas, earlier on, you touched on a really interesting point around product sales and then that piece of putting yourself out there and how that distinction in terms of what you then had to do to put yourself out there. What would you say you found to be distinctly different from pure product sales when you're talking about, I don't know, like a plant or something like that you're selling, or a book or a journal, versus when it's services that are linked to you and your expertise?
Oh, it's so different. It's different, but the same in some ways, but so different. When you're selling a product, if the product's really good, the product can sell itself. Like without you really showing your face, a product can sell itself. Especially, to give an example, my subscription boxes. I don't have to show my face to sell those. Clearly, the product is amazing. There is a passionate audience out there that wants this product, that demands this product, that has to have this product. So me just putting the product itself out there consistently, I'm going to get sales on it. But because I am willing to be the face on my brand, it makes it even more. It's like selling on steroids when you add your face. It is very different transitioning from being a product-based seller to actually selling myself, being a coach. I feel like it took me a lot longer to build trust, because when you are selling information to people, there's a lot more objections that people have to sort through to trust you. So when you see a product, it's just like, okay, I see the product. It's great. I need it. You see the immediate need. I'm just going to buy it. But when you see someone selling information, it's, who is she? What's her background? Should I really listen to her? can she relate to me? Can this really help me? Is she just trying to sell me, or does she really care about me? It's a million objections when you are selling yourself, when you are your own commercial. And it took me at least 3 good years to really feel the trust that I had built in the marketplace. It took me 3 years because I was younger, had a lot of other variables that I felt like were working against me. But it just took time for people to really, really trust me. I had to really get out there with my information and be so consistent before I could just, now I make offers and people just buy them, but it's a track record that I've had to consistently make out there for people to be able to trust me. So I feel like one has definitely been harder than the other, but worth it, just harder.
I love that you shared that, because I think, firstly, it's useful to know that they are completely different, but it's also useful to know just because you're selling a product doesn't mean that it's wise for you to not show your face and not build a brand around it. So it kind of excites me, but may also terrify some people to hear that one of the things that helped to accelerate your product sales was putting your face to things. And Simone, yes, you got no problem putting your face to things.
Oh no, I love putting my face over stuff. I can't do otherwise, actually. I envy people that can market products because on one side, Stella's mentioned, when you put your face, you can build a stronger connection because it's human to human. But at the same time, is also a less scalable path of a business, because now that business is linked to that face. And there are people that are going to like that face. People are not going to like that face, right? And as you mentioned, there is a longer journey in terms of building that connection and that credibility and reputation, in particular if you're selling offers and services. So I envy people that they are able to do that.
That said, you do have systems and processes. I'm gonna have to probe you because people are gonna want to know now.
Okay.
How on earth does one even begin? So I bet some people are listening and they're thinking, 3 years? It took the incredible Dallas 3 years in order to, I don't have that time. I need a fast track route. So what would you say in terms of personal brand building? Because I know you work a lot with people to help their visibility and their positioning and positioning themselves, their personal brand to help sell. Could you give us just like 3 things? I'm cheeky, folks. I'm going to help you.
Can I give you 4?
You can give me 4 things.
I can give you 4.
Yes, bonuses.
We even have an acronym. It's called ASAP. But before I told the ASAP formula of getting known, there's one thing I got to say, because you mentioned someone saying, oh, I don't have 3 years. Dallas took 3 years. I took 4 or 5.
You took even longer?
Mamma
mia.
If someone says, I don't have 3 years, get a job. Like, get your roof over your head, because it can happen in a faster time, but sometimes depending also where is your starting point. Like my background, I'm Italian. I needed to build my network. I didn't have any connection. I had to learn how to speak English. I had to learn business. So no one can think of where you are and all the elements that you need to put in place, because sometimes a marathon is not a sprint. Now, having said that, there are things that you can do to put in place. That's why we have the ASAP formula. And A stands for association with established brands or industry leaders. S is for speaking, so speaking and delivering presentations, so people see you as a thought leader in your field. Then the other A is awards, so then people see that you are credible and your work is quality. And then the P is then publications and media. So then you get in front of a bigger audience, and the idea is that people are used to trust niche media or traditional media depending on what they listen to. And so by having these 4 elements, then it's easier to get someone to see you as an expert in your field. But of course, you need to be good at what you do and back it up with a solid delivery system and product and services. So that's my piece of advice on this.
Oh my gosh, love that. And it's so, I'm thinking about it now, and I know that Dallas, you've picked up exactly that exact same formula. So it's useful to have that in the background. But listen, y'all. This is the Women of Power show, which means that I can't have 2 powerhouses when it comes to marketing and sales, which are so fundamental in business. And I swear I've done my best to go deep, but I can only skim the surface in the time that we've got. So What I want to understand is, and it may be that it's slightly different for men than women, but what is it that you think makes a woman powerful, Dallas? Because I think you're a powerhouse. So what is it that you think is the essence of a woman's power?
I think that it is a woman's ability to be authentic, to fiercely love herself, to be comfortable in her own skin, and just to flow, just to go with the flow.
I love it. Fiercely love herself, go with the flow. Simone, what do you think is the essence of a woman's power?
I think that women brings that difference to men, a way to connect that men need to work harder for. I found that for one reason or another, 80% of my clients are women, and their ability to connect with their audience, their ability to show up and care about the people that they serve and the quality of the services they deliver, I found is higher sometimes than men. The reason why is that men, I think, they have less, they think less about how do I look, how does my products work, how does my products, what is the delivery, am I serving my clients better or worse? So a lot of men, they can just go and get on with it. But I found that women care more because there is a more caring and nurturing nature, which is also what makes a woman very powerful, because you know that a lot of their clients are going to be taken well taken care of in the business. So absolutely, the ability of caring about people.
I love that, because it's often a thing that we as women sometimes see as a disservice, that we care too much and other people are getting on with it, and maybe we're taking longer to get things done. And so I love that you see that as something we should lean into more and as an asset to us in our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. You can learn. I think from a man perspective, we can learn more from that side, and from the women perspective, sometimes it's like, okay, let me just put it out there.
It is that balancing act, right?
We can balance, absolutely.
So here's where we get to the mean part of the show. Mean, 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 mean. Yes, I'm going to take two of my favorite people, put them together, and then be super mean to them. So I ask all of my guests this same very mean, very tough question, but it's for your good, because I really want to get to the essence of what makes powerful people, and powerful women in particular, powerful. And for this particular topic, I'm really excited because we're talking to the core of a business, sales and marketing. If you don't have clients, you don't have a business. And there's this notion that maybe women and men do it differently. So I'm now super curious to understand the answer to this question, which is, if we were to take everything that you've both done in life and business and boil it down to just its essence. And I'm going to pick two core power tools. And these are things that you would say have been absolutely fundamental to your success in life and business. What would they be? Dallas, tell me now, what would be your top two power tools?
One would be following my inner voice. There are too many times that I haven't listened to that inner voice and later found that I should have, because I was 100% right. And the second one would be not being afraid to walk in my own lane. Like when everyone else is going left, once again, follow my inner voice. I should go right, not being afraid to go right while everyone else is going left. Those are probably two of my biggest points.
Not being afraid, well, listening to the inner voice is one thing, but I love that you connected. It's the listening to the inner voice, and then it's not being afraid to follow it, not being afraid to really go there when you get that little sneaky whisper that tells you to go in a direction that seems perhaps counterintuitive, but you're called to do it. So Simone, what would you say would be your top power tools? I'm interested. I'm like, is this going to be totally different?
One, you're familiar with this, perseverance. you know about that? Definitely the ability of not taking no for an answer and keep going no matter what challenges are thrown at me. I know that as long as I keep moving forward, something is going to fall into place. So the ability to persevere. And the other part is the ability to build communities. I think that a community is a core of every business, is the essence of every business. and is also what makes us whole as human beings. We need each other on a personal, on a business level. And the ability to create communities and build communities is something that I wish everyone could have, and as well is one of the things that made me and the businesses that we have.
That one is unexpected. I mean, it's not totally unexpected for me, but it's unexpected that community would be the thing that you would go for, the working together and working collaboratively. I'm loving those. And the interesting thing is that, with the exception of community, I don't think we've heard that before, but we have heard perseverance from many of our powerful women on this show. So it's not a male-only quality, y'all. Y'all can do it too, okay? We are pretty much almost out of time, which is really sad because I was very much enjoying this. But I know I don't want to leave people hanging because they might have just been enjoying it as much as me and want to take these conversations further. So firstly, Simone, how do people get in touch with you? Like, how can they connect in with you?
The best way to connect with me is to go on my personal website, which is Simone, SIMONEV.co. So it's SimoneV.co, and there are a lot of free resources that you can use to help you grow your business.
Fabulous. And Dallas, my darling, how do people connect in with you?
You can find me on platforms at Coach Dallas Gordon and on my website at dallasgordon.com. Dallas like the city.
I love it. Dallas like the city. See, I would have said town, but I'm not based in the US of A, so I'd have completely butchered that. So I'm gonna just wring just a little bit more out of both of you. So if you could just leave our guests, look at me, I'm pushing the envelope because you're two of my favorite people. If you could just leave our guests with just one, like a couple of sentences, just one little nugget of wisdom, if they took nothing else from this show, and there was a lot to take, what would that one thing be, Dallas?
I would say, what's the worst thing that could happen if you got started, if you asked for the sale? Find out what motivates you. Like for me, something motivates everyone. The one thing that motivates me is the fear of regret, the pain of regret. I don't want to get into my later years and look back over my life and look back at all the opportunities I had, all the doors I could have walked through, all the gifts and talents that I've been blessed with that I didn't use, all the people I could have reached that I didn't reach. I don't want to look back on my life and just see that I didn't do anything with it. So that's what motivates me into action. I also realize that, life is not promised. We only have the now moment to act, to take action. And so I use every moment to be that spark, to be that light, to walk in my gift and to pour out into other people as much as I possibly can. So I would say if you're having a problem with getting started, with marketing yourself, ask yourself, what is it that motivates me? And focus there, because that can help you get into action.
Living a life without regret. See, this is why we're besties, babe, because to me, that's one of my biggest fears as well. I'm like, am I going to leave and there was some talent or something there and I just didn't use it? Like, that just terrifies me. I'm like, oh no, I can't have it. Simone, what about you? If there's like literally just one thing that you could leave our guests with today, what would that be?
Embrace rejection. Embrace the rejection, embrace the rejection, because it is part of the process. The choice of starting a business is your choice. No one forced you to start a business. There is a certain circumstance that might got you to say, I want to have my own stuff. But rejection is part of the package. It comes with the business. So embrace it. And the moment you will embrace it, you will find that you can play with it, you can work with it. And instead of getting frustrated, use it as a fuel. So then you can even make a bigger impact, get out there even more, and get a bigger business as well.
What a reframe. Embrace the rejection, and rather than seeing it as a problem and a negative, see it as fuel to propel you forward. That is all we've got time for today, folks. We are totally wrapped up out of time. If you want to connect in with our guests, then do check out the show notes on the podcast on our YouTube channel. And until next time, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified when our shows go live. My name's Lovelda Vincenzi. You've been watching and listening to the Women of Power show. Until next time, go out there. What's the worst that can happen? Take care. Ciao.